In this episode, we're going to talk about why most online businesses fail in the first 12 months. So, if you look at online business from the outside, it looks simple. People post content, they grow an audience, they sell something, and they make money while they sleep. So, why do most people end up quitting within a year? It's not because they're stupid, and it's not because they're lazy, and it's not because online business doesn't work. It's because they start with the wrong expectations. So, today, I'm going to break down the real reasons most online businesses fail in the first 12 months and what you need to do differently. Starting off with reason number one, setting unrealistic expectations about speed. So, one of the most damaging factors in early stage online businesses is the expectation of rapid success. Social media highlights revenue milestones that people are sharing about how much money they're making. They're boasting about their subscriber counts, and they're putting out these TikToks and Instagram reels about overnight growth and success stories. But many of these are not actually showing the years of iteration and trial and error that were behind that overnight success. When someone launches their first website, their first YouTube channel, or a coaching offer or a digital product, they often expect meaningful traction within weeks. When results are actually slower than anticipated, then they start getting discouraged, and this causes them to derail that motivation and that process they were going with. When someone launches their first website, YouTube channel, or coaching offer or digital product, they often expect meaningful traction within weeks. But when the results are slower than anticipated, discouragement sets in quickly. And in reality, most successful online businesses experience a long ramp up phase. During the first several months, your visibility is low. A lot of people don't know who you are yet. Your feedback is also going to be limited. You're not going to get a lot of comments on your videos, and your revenue is going to be inconsistent. So, this period feels slow because momentum has not yet compounded. Online growth operates on accumulation. So each piece of content increases your discoverability. Each conversation that you have improves messaging. Each offer you present also refines your position. However, these improvements are subtle at first. The compounding effect becomes noticeable only after sustained consistency. Many founders, however, quit during that quiet buildup phase because they mistake slow progress for failure. In truth, slow and steady early growth is normal. Reason number two, avoiding sales conversations. Another major reason online businesses fail in the first year is avoidance of selling. Many creators enjoy producing content, researching ideas, or designing products. They like these busy tasks that make them feel like they're being productive, and they're comfortable teaching, they're comfortable explaining and engaging with their audience. However, when it comes time to actually sell something or present an offer or ask for a financial commitment from someone, then the hesitation starts to appear. This hesitation often stems from fear of rejection or fear of being perceived as pushy or fear of appearing unqualified. As a result, some founders create free content while postponing the moment when they must test whether their solution has real demand that's worth paying for. The problem with delaying sales is that revenue is the clearest form of validation. Without sales, you cannot confirm whether your product is resonating with your audience. You can't confirm whether your messaging is resonating. You can't confirm whether your offer solves a meaningful problem or whether your audience perceives enough value to invest their money. Businesses that survive the first year learn to sell early, not aggressively or unethically, but clearly and confidently. They present their solution as the logical next step for someone who wants to solve a specific problem. Selling is not an interruption to the business, it's the business itself. Again, if you're not selling and making money, you're just entertaining. You're not running an actual business. Reason number three, confusing activity with progress. Many first year founders stay busy but fail to move forward. They redesign their website multiple times, they tweak logos and color palettes, they purchase new tools and subscriptions, they consume more educational content. Now, while these activities make you feel productive, they often don't directly contribute to your revenue. True progress in an online business is measured by different metrics. These metrics include how many conversations you're having with potential customers, how much feedback you're getting on your offers, how many leads you're generating, and how many sales you're actually closing. You can also look at data like revenue trends to also give you some insight on how your business is doing. When activity is not directly connected to these outcomes, it may just be a form of productive procrastination. It creates the feeling of effort without the discomfort of actually testing the market. So, in the first year, clarity around metrics is critical. If you cannot trace your weekly actions back to revenue generation or offer validation, then you may be optimizing and wasting time in the wrong areas. Reason number four, building before validating. Another common pattern in early failure is building too much before actually validating if the demand is there. Some entrepreneurs invest significant time and money into complex websites, or they build an advanced funnel, or they spend time building software, or polished branding and color palettes before they confirm that customers are willing to even pay for their solution. And this creates pressure and it also increases your risk. When revenue does not appear quickly enough, the weight of those upfront investments can lead to frustration and withdrawal. A more sustainable approach is to validate manually first. To validate manually, you need to have those conversations with real people. You need to offer free trials or beta services to get some initial people involved in giving you feedback on where you could improve and if your product is even good. You also want to present simplified versions of your product. Confirm the demand before you build elaborate, complex systems. Validation reduces uncertainty, and these systems should amplify something that already works, not compensate for something that's unproven still. Now, in the next section, let's examine additional structural and psychological factors that cause early stage online businesses to collapse, including positioning errors, lack of focus, and emotional resilience. Reason number five, lack of clear positioning. A surprisingly common reason online businesses fail in the first year is vague positioning. When someone asks, "What do you do?" and the answer is broad or unclear, it becomes difficult for the audience to understand who the offer's for and what specific problem it solves. Statements like, "I help people improve their lives," or "I teach marketing" sound positive but lack actual precision. Without being specific, potential customers cannot quickly determine whether your solution applies to them. As a result, they continue searching for someone who speaks directly to their situation. Clear positioning answers three questions. Number one, who is this for? Number two, what specific problem does it solve? And number three, what measurable result can I expect? For example, helping beginner real estate investors analyze rental property deals to avoid losing money is far more compelling than offering general investing advice. The narrower positioning does not reduce opportunity, it just increases your relevance and it connects on a deeper level with your audience. In the first year, narrowing your focus is often more powerful than expanding it. Clarity accelerates traction because it removes the ambiguity. So, in short, make sure you're niching down on a more specific problem than staying super broad. Reason number six, trying to be everywhere at once. Another major cause of early failure is spreading attention too thin. Many new business founders attempt to grow simultaneously on multiple platforms. They want to be on YouTube, they want to be on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, have a blog, have a podcast. Now, while diversification may sound strategic, it often leads to diluted effort and inconsistent execution. Each platform has its own learning curve. There's a unique content style that it also requires, and a different algorithm based around people's behavior. So, attempting to master all of these at once creates overwhelm and it reduces depth. During the first year, concentration is more valuable than expansion. Choosing one primary traffic source and committing to it allows skills to develop faster. Your messaging becomes sharper and your content quality improves, and your momentum's going to compound. Now, trying to be everywhere before mastering one channel will often result in mediocre performance across all of them. You got to be able to go deep first on one platform and get that successful before you start branching out to another platform. Reason number seven, emotional volatility and lack of resilience. So let's get into some of the psychology because online business has a big psychological component. and you don't want to underestimate it. So, again, in the early stages, your feedback's going to be limited, your views might be low, your engagement is going to be inconsistent, and your sales are going to fluctuate. And there may even be some negative comments that appear unexpectedly from people. These different experiences can often trigger doubt in your mind, it can trigger frustration, and it can cause you to step back from your processes and your systems that you're working on. So, if emotional responses dictate decisions and your consistency suffers as a result, then we've got to work on the mental component. For example, some founders, they'll change direction after a single disappointing launch. They were all hype creating and getting ready for this launch, and when they didn't get the results they expected, they're ready to just abandon their project altogether. Others abandon strategies before they have enough data to even evaluate them properly. So, resilience is not about ignoring these setbacks, it's just about interpreting them correctly. Having low engagement on a piece of content does not necessarily mean your niche is wrong. A failed launch does not automatically indicate that the business model is flawed. Often, the issue lies in messaging or offer clarity rather than your core idea. Those who survive the first year treat setbacks as feedback. They adjust based on data rather than true emotion. Over time, this steady approach will then produce stability in your business and your mental psychology. And then lastly, there is the phrase passive income to talk about. The phrase passive income has contributed to unrealistic expectations. While scalable income streams can eventually operate with less daily work and input, they are almost always built through sustained active effort. Creating digital products, building an audience, refining your offer, testing your messaging, these all require time and iterations, meaning you're going to go through multiple iterations until you come out with a better version. The early phase is rarely passive. It demands engagement. You have to continue spending time learning and adapting. When founders expect their income to come in without sustained input and effort, then discouragement will arrive quickly. When they expect an active build out phase before leverage actually appears, a lot of founders expect things to start operating passively quickly before they've actually allowed time for their efforts to start compounding. Once efforts have had time and they compound and they leverage, that's when the passive activity usually starts to show up. So instead of being misled by slow growth, you need to recognize it as a natural stage in the process. Slow growth is normal. And after you get through that first year or two of slow growth and putting in the work and putting out lots of content and revising and going through reiterations of your products, eventually you're going to come out in years 2 and 3 and start to see compounding. You're going to start to see rapid, faster growth. And now you're going to start to feel validated. So it's important in that first year not to give up if you're in the right niche. So here's a more sustainable first year approach. If most online businesses fail within the first 12 months, then what separates those that survive? Well, several patterns consistently appear among those who endure. They focus on one clear problem. They validate demand before overbuilding. They begin selling earlier rather than later. They track revenue focused metrics rather than followers and views. And they commit to a long enough timeline for compounding to occur. The first year is less about scaling, it's more about proving that your offer resonates with your audience, proving that people are willing to pay for your product or service, proving that consistent effort produces measurable improvement. Once proof actually exists, then the motivation increases. Then you start worrying about optimization and perfection, and you start expanding. These become the next logical steps. So, here's some of my final thoughts on most online businesses and why they need to stop. So, here are my final thoughts. Most online businesses do not fail because the model's broken. They fail because expectations are just misaligned. Their positioning of their business or their offer is unclear to their audience. And they don't have the resilience to get through that slow growth phase before momentum starts to build. The first year is not a test of your brilliance. It's a test of how focused you can be, how much you can endure, and how you can continue showing up and being consistent following the systems and processes that you've put in place. When you understand the predictable failure patterns that most businesses go through, you can avoid these mistakes and you can set yourself up for success much faster. You're going to stop having unrealistic timelines. You're going to stop avoiding selling early in the process. You're not going to be scattered out with your positioning. You're going to have clear, focused positioning, and you're not going to waste time overbuilding before you've tested and found if demand's actually there. Instead, you're going to have clarity over complexity. You're going to have validation over perfection, and you're going to have consistency over intensity. If you survive the first year with structure and intention, you place yourself ahead of the majority who never make it past the starting line.